Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Miriam Guerra Allstate Insurance Postgame Show as we have a final here at Bobby Lackey Stadium, and it is the Weslaco Panthers and the Harlingen Cardinals, and the Cardinals win it by a final score of 24-7. Carlos Robledo, along with Mike Gonzalez here in this game, and it was a very competitive game for most of the contest, the first half especially for the Weslaco Panthers. Let's go to the highlights in this one where you can see that early on the Weslaco Panthers coming up here a little banged up, a deep pass right here, great catch that was made on that one. Rolando Beron is there in the first quarter, but the Panthers couldn't convert. They did right here. Matthew De Santiago, an outstanding game for him against the Cardinals, punches this one in for the score. A big-time run there for Matthew. It's 7-0 Panthers with the lead. Harlingen with a field goal right there to make it 7-3 in the second quarter. Then the Cardinals with another score right here. The pass to Joe Reyna, and he scampers in. And it was 10-7, Harlingen leading at the half. In the third quarter, another score, Reyna, a great catch and run for him to make it 17-7 Harlingen, but the Panthers never gave up. A deep pass right here. They went deep down the field quite a few times in this game. Great catch there by Jaden Cavazos. And the Cardinals end up winning this game 24-7. That one bounced around before the catch was made, and a touchdown for the Harlingen Cardinals. The Weslaco Panthers, they came into this game heavy underdogs. It was very close, especially at the half, only down 10-7. In fact, they drew first blood, Mike, and it seemed like the Weslaco Panthers, had an opportunity here. They missed some of them. It was a couple of field goals that didn't go in, some fourth downs and third downs that weren't converted as well.
Right. Before the game, we talked about how, the Panthers need to play 4 quarters. They can move the ball, but they just can't finish drives. I think tonight, Carlos, it was more of a they need to finish drives. We came in saying they need to play 4 quarters. Tonight it was about finishing drives. They had a lot of opportunities. They squandered. They could have probably scored over 20 points in the first half. That wasn't the case, and Harlingen, being Harlingen, were able to take advantage of their opportunities and scored when they had to score.
The Weslaco Panthers had the ball in the red zone 3 times actually 2 times in that first half. Twice they were, one time they were able to convert. The other 2 times they missed a field goal, so it was a chance where there was missed opportunities for the Panthers. It could have been 21-0 at one point in this game, Mike.
Yeah, exactly, Carlos. Again, I thought Marco Leal did a good job throwing the ball. What I like is that he took chances down the field. I don't know if it's the first time they've done it all year or not, but I really like that they took chances, and Jane Cavazos came up with some big-time grabs, and then we saw number 88, Rolando, make a nice catch there. And that's what this offense is all about, is taking chances. They had man-to-man coverage, and, it worked out in some cases, and the Panthers were able to get some yards. Matthew Santiago with a terrific night tonight, scoring the only touchdown, easily over 100 yards.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the passing game. You talked about the passing game going deep down the field for many chances in this game where they go down the field. They got a interference call against the Harlingen one time. That was a big game for the Weslaco Panthers. But the running game, that came to life with Santiago and that offensive line here tonight.
Exactly, Carlos. And they just basically run it up the gut, right down the middle. And I don't know if that caught Harlingen by surprise or not, but I thought that was an excellent choice there by the offensive coordinator there to run those plays. And Matthew Santiago, with his speed and his quickness, was able to make some plays. And after that opened up the passing lanes a little bit. And how about the defense, Carlos? The defense came out to play as well. I thought they're pretty physical out there and made some big-time tackles.
Yeah, that was my next point that I was going to bring up, because you start this game and you got this high-powered offense of the Harlingen Cardinals. They like to pass the ball. They're running the ball very, very well. They're ranked in the top 5. They're the Harlingen Cardinals, and they're coming over here to Weslaco. They're on a roll already in this game, and they were just stuffed early on in this game.
They were. I mean, Tommy Escavel made some nice stops there, and some other guys. Marco Noriega was around the ball a lot. I mean, yeah, the defense, I think, just got a little tired at the end. Harlingen, in that last scoring drive, were able to just move the ball at will. They owned most of that fourth quarter, got some first downs on those little bubble screens, and then in the end, they just had a spectacular catch on that final touchdown that could have easily been intercepted, but it didn't work out.
You got to like the play of Marco Leal. He was kind of going back and forth throughout this entire early part of the season. Him and Jacob Cavazos rotating a little bit. Marco was more your passing quarterback. Jacob was your running quarterback. But Marco Leal, he plays extremely well tonight. You see him right here on a couple of passes. This one deep down the field. That one right on the money. He's got an arm. we did not know how far he could throw down the field, but there were a couple of times where we were surprised that he actually overthrew a couple of his speedy wide receivers.
And don't forget, receiver Dana and Deva also had some chances there to catch some balls. And, I think the chemistry is starting to come together, and that's what we talked about throughout the season. Is it's a new system, it's a new philosophy, and now we're kind of see it come to a fruition a little bit here. I think the connection between Marco Leal and his receivers is starting to come around a little bit, which I really, really like. And I think this offense is showing more promise as we move forward, as we have about, 3-4 games more left to play. I mean, there's a lot of excitement, really, if you ask me. They average over 300 yards per game, and I thought they did a good job.
Plenty of upside, plenty of things to look forward to with the Weslaco Panthers as the season continues, and, of course, in the coming years with this new system where, they're passing the ball a lot. Yes, the Panthers do end up on the losing end of this game, and give a lot of credit to the Harlingen Cardinals. They came in here. They had to do it, their job. It's always a close game. At least that's what it's been in the past few years between Harlingen and Weslaco, and it looked like it was going to be a close game, and it was for, almost 3 quarters.
It was, and, I mean, the Panther defense, again, a wonderful job and stuff. And I think what happened is that Harlingen made their adjustments. They were trying to run up the middle as well. It wasn't working as maybe as much as they thought it would. And then the quarterback came around and made some big plays for them. And the receivers, those guys are quick and fast. And, I mean, they did a great job, Carlos.
Yeah, Daniel Ramirez at quarterback. And then you got Joe Reyna. He's a very, very good receiver. Made some great catches, has a lot of speed. And you can see the maturity of the Harlingen Cardinals. And you can see why Manny Gomez has them contenders for a district championship. They still got to play San Benito in this district. Speaking of the district now, the last score we got from Weslaco East, because they're in a battle right now in Los Fresnos. The last score we got, Los Fresnos, at one point they were leading 14-0. They were leading 17-14 at this point in the fourth quarter. We'll try to get an update for you here. Also, Hannah leading Harlingen South 21-17. That one is also in the fourth quarter. And here is one for you. From our neighbors over here in Donna North Chiefs, they beat Brownsville Porter by a score of 38-21. So Coach Rakovich gets his first victory of the season for the Chiefs.
Congratulations, Coach Rock.
Yeah, let's get back to this game and talk a little bit more about the Weslaco Panthers and Marco Leal. He's over there visiting. He's got a smile on his face, and you got to be happy for the guy because there was a little bit more pressure on him, but he had to do everything possible to keep this team together and play a good game against Weslaco, and he certainly did.
Yeah, he did, Carlos. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on him tonight, being that he's a senior. He had to take more of the leadership role, and, I mean, he took it like a champ, if you ask me. I mean, he was still able to run the offense at will, and him and Coach Salinas were communicating with each other throughout the game on the signals, and you can tell that, the play clock, for the ones that don't know, there's 45 seconds in the play clock. And, when the play clock goes down to about 20, there's no panic. You can kind of see Marco and Coach Salinas, working hand in hand. And, I mean, being that this is the first year in this system, sometimes that gets a little tricky. And I thought they did a good job. And Marco Leal still running the offense, and I thought they executed it pretty well.
And, of course, Santiago. And we'll talk more about Matthew de Santiago. We'll have a little bit, we'll have some more information on him as the season, as the evening continues, because we'll have highlights of this game later on. But Santiago, once again, he seemed to have a little extra burst of speed tonight. And that running game, like I said, they opened up some pretty big holes for him.
Yeah, and they give credit to the offensive line for giving the holes to him. And that's what I liked about him, Carlos, when we saw him in the scrimmages, is how quickly he was able to attack the hole. And with his speed and quickness, he was able to get yardage, and he was just able to get behind the Harlingen defense there. And Harlingen saw the defenders catching up to him. And you could tell that they had, some problems with him. And just a terrific job by that senior.
And you also have to like the play of Rolando Berrones, he's listed as a tight end, and he is a tight end. I know they had him out wide a couple of times as well, but he looks like he could be a weapon for the Panthers also as the season continues.
And, I mean, you know what, Carlos? If he can run fast enough, and with his size, that creates a mismatch outside with the DB, and I think that's what Coach Salinas was trying to do there, and that's why they took chances down the field with him, and he came up with a big catch in the first half.
Yeah, he certainly did. He's a sophomore, so he'll be back for a couple of more years, one of those of that good sophomore class that they have playing on this team. Weslaco Panthers are now 0-3 in district play, 1-4 by no stretch of the imagination, as we saw last year with the Weslaco East Wildcats getting into the playoffs, even with what were they, 4-3?
They were 4-3, right?
So the Panthers are still alive here, but they're going to have to come up with some upsets here down the road because their schedule continues to get harder. We get to see some more runs right here. This is Matthew de Santiago, and a hard-hitting game for both these two teams.
Yeah, it was, Carlos. It was very physical. When it comes to Weslaco against Harlingen, there's some history between two of those proud programs. And, a lot of close games, a lot of them single digits, but the game itself is usually physical. And, last year was a good example of it. Harlingen only won 13-7, and today, for the most part, the game was very close and highly competitive. And the Panthers really hung in there. And, I thought all around they did well enough, but you can tell that the Harlingen experience was just too much for the Panthers tonight. But it is a building block, which I really like a lot for this program.
All right, trying to get a couple of more scores for you, and we do have a final now. Los Fresnos over Weslaco East by a final score of 17-14, so a disappointment there for our sister school. And then also Hannah, they beat Harlingen South 21-17. So those are a couple of more scores to pass along from 32-6A. All right, final thoughts. Where do the Panthers go from here forward? Because the season is certainly not over yet.
It's not over, Carlos. There's still a lot of football left to be played. They were able to beat San Antonio Marshall to start the season, and right now they're in a 4-game losing streak. But there's still a lot of football left to be played. Not give up. Do not give up. And, again, I like what I saw on offense, and I thought the defense played well also. It's a big-time building block for the program moving forward. The coaches, nobody likes to lose, but they should be pretty proud of the effort, and they should be pretty proud of some of the plays that these players made tonight.
Well, they seem to be improving week in and week out, and very, very competitive as the season continues as well. Kind of what we expected, a close game. It was early on, but the final score in this one, it is the Harlingen Cardinals winning by a final score of 24-7. Thank you for joining us here on the Miriam Guerra Allstate Insurance postgame show. For Mike Gonzalez, I'm Carlos Robledo. We'll see you guys next time.